What's going on, YouTube? This is your dude, Intergalactic Brew, and I'm here to give you my UFC 135 predictions. This is going to be another good card, I believe. Probably not as good as UFC 134 Rio. I think that card so far probably might be the card of the year as far as I'm concerned. I mean, other people may beg to differ, but I definitely feel that UFC Rio was probably the most exciting card I've seen so far. I mean, taking nothing away from Dominic Cruz and Uriah Faber. I think that was what, UFC 133, I believe, or 132. Yeah, I think that was 132. So, yeah, I mean, it was a good card, but you know, UFC Rio, that so far is probably the pay-per-view of the year. I mean, just the way the matches ended, and you know, the passion and the excitement from the Brazilian crowd, and then on top of that, it was a history-making event. You know, the UFC's first time in Brazil since the very first UFC, so that was just groundbreaking and all. But this one here, UFC 135, I think we're in for a good one, though. I truly believe it. Okay, so let's get down to the fights, shall we? We're going to go to the pay-per-view portion of the card first, as always. First fight I'm going to break down is Ben Rothwell versus Mark Hunt. Now, a lot of people think that this fight specifically is one-sided, being that Ben Rothwell is obviously the more well-rounded fighter, and Mark Hunt is, you know, obviously the one-dimensional fighter. Well, that is the case, but Ben Rothwell, I've noticed a lot in watching him fight, sometimes gets complacent and sometimes gets caught up with, you know, the eagerness and the pride to finish a fight. Therefore, he kind of deviates from what has made him successful, which has been, you know, virtually his mat skill in submitting people. And he tends to stand up with people and, you know, get caught. You know, Ben Rothwell has been knocked out a couple of times, as you've seen recently, Cain Velasquez, among others. So, in this fight, hopefully, you know, we'll see Ben Rothwell, you know, really live up to that well-rounded status that has, you know, gained him such exposure in mixed martial arts, and also what at one time made him one of the top 10 MMA heavyweights on the planet. Because if he's dumb and has too much pride and doesn't swallow it at UFC 135 on Saturday, he will get laid out, because Mark Hunt is one hell of a striker. I mean, if you guys have watched this man's kickboxing matches as well as his matches in Pride, this guy will lay the leather on you. That's if, you know, you're stupid enough to try him, so to speak. But I do give Mark Hunt a chance in the fight. I really do. I believe that if he can find a way to stuff Ben Rothwell's takedowns and, you know, keep the fight standing, you know, I believe he has a great chance of clocking Rothwell. You know, but you know, for some reason, I just think that Mark Hunt, you know, is going to be so. I mean, I believe, you know, that he can stuff Rothwell's takedowns, but, you know, being that Rothwell, this is kind of his reintroduction into the UFC, and he kind of wants to make a good impression, but he also wants to be smart and intelligent at the same time, and I think he's going to do that, and I think he's going to look to take Mark Hunt down to the ground early, and once he gets him there, I think he's going to pepper him with some ground and pound, and eventually he's going to end up getting a submission. So, yeah, I think that's how it's gonna play out. I think he's gonna feel him out. Rothwell is, standing up for a little bit, and then after that, he's gonna get down to business and take this guy down and end the fight with a submission. So I'm going Ben Rothwell by submission. I don't know which round. Could be late first. I don't know, but I'm picking Rothwell. Like I said, Mark Hunt has got a puncher's chance. Can never count that guy out in a favorable matchup. Next fight. This is, again, one of the more interesting fights on this pay-per-view. Nate Diaz going up against the Fireball Kid, Takanori Gomi. Now, you could probably say that Takanori Gomi has a lot to prove, or, really wants to prove something in this particular fight, being that he has history with a Diaz brother, although it's not Nate. It's actually Nick Diaz. And as a lot of y'all might know, Nick Diaz and Takanori Gomi had an epic lightweight, I think it was lightweight, welterweight, one of those. I think it was lightweight encounter in Pride in Las Vegas a few years ago. And Nick Diaz shocked the crowd in attendance with a miraculous Gogoplata comeback submission when Gomi was basically just tearing him up, throughout that fight. So I know that Nate, being that he's Nick's brother, has been studying that fight, and I'm sure he's going to look for ways not to suffer the same beating that his brother did in that fight, and I'm sure he's going to be looking to take Gomi down early and as often as possible, and of course attempt to submit him, much like Kenny Florian did and much like Clay Guida did. Takanori Gomi is not that good off of his back if you are able to take him down, which Kenny Florian was able to do with ease. No disrespect to Takanori Gomi. The same thing with Clay Guida. He was able to nullify, the boxing of Gomi and just, take him down and just own him down there, and eventually got the guillotine choke. Now, on the other hand, Nate Diaz has shown some vulnerability in the past as well. His chin, he's a tough man. He's a very tough man. But yeah, I've seen a lot in his fights where, if you can, hit Nate like clean on the chin, like if you find the right spot and bam, just nail him, he will go down. He will go down. I mean, we saw glimpses of it in the Marcus Davis fight. Melvin Gillard, he messed him up pretty bad. It's a lot of opportunities, to hit Nate Diaz. You just have to, be smart enough to, look for your openings or set up your openings to find them. And, while we're saying that Takanori Gomi could easily be submitted, at the same time, Nate Diaz has to honor or at least acknowledge the knockout power of Takanori Gomi. Because as demonstrated in the Tyson Griffin fight and a lot of the Pride highlights, once this guy gets going and he, if he's able to nail you with one good right hook or one good uppercut to the chin, it's good night nurse. And Nate Diaz is not careful, and if he doesn't try to use that size and that mat expertise and try to take this guy down and try to end him as quickly as possible, he's going to be the one that's going to be ended for sure. But in all, what I really see happening is I think Nate, having the longer reach and being the taller, bigger guy, I think he's going to be able to use the size because he does have that good jab And he has been throwing a lot more kicks a lot in his striking arsenal, so that could help him out because, Takanori Gomi is the smaller man, and, he's going to have to get inside of Diaz's reach and close the distance to try and find his chin and nail him with that right hook of his. But I think Nate, being that this is a must-win for him, I could see him getting Gomi to the ground willingly. And I think eventually, once he gets him there, I think he's going to be able to control him, and I could see him either submitting him with a Kimura or maybe a guillotine. So I'm going to go with Nate Diaz by submission, but like I said, if he gets reckless, Takanori Gomi, will knock him out. So Takanori Gomi has a chance too. It's a lot of close fights on this card. Real quick, Travis Brown versus Rob Broughton. Don't know too much about Rob Broughton. I heard he's a pretty solid guy. He's coming off a good win streak. I heard he's, pretty well rounded. He trains out of Quentin's team, Wolf Slayer. So, obviously he does have some talent. But I think with Travis Brown's knockout power, I think, he's just going to be able to, I think he's just going to be able to overpower Broughton because Brown is going to be much bigger than Broughton is. And, I just think with that lethal power that he has in his hands, Brown, I think he's just, just going to punish him, I think. He's going to punish him a lot in this fight until, there's going to come a time where Brown's going to make a mistake and Brown's going to catch him and he's going to lay him out, and that's going to be at the end of the fight. So I'm picking Travis Brown by TKO. But who knows? I could be wrong. Rob Broughton could come and surprise us all and, just completely overwhelm Brown. But like I said, Brown's got that power, so gonna kind of be hard to do that. Okay, the co-main event of the evening: Josh Koscheck versus Matt Hughes. Well, when I first saw this fight, I was saying, this is a favorable matchup for Koscheck because Koscheck obviously is younger, he's faster, probably might not be as strong as Matt Hughes because Matt Hughes has some power. To be as old as or older as he is, he still has that strength. So, but definitely in youth and speed, and obviously knockout power, I give it to Josh Koscheck. And I think Koscheck, as far as wrestling goes, I'd probably say maybe he might be a tad bit better than Matt Hughes. Well, no, you know what? I'm not going to say that. They're both even in the wrestling category as well. So, but I think what's going to end up happening here is I think that it's going to virtually be a striking affair, and I think Koscheck's going to get the best of it. I think he's got more ways to strike and knock Matt Hughes out. He's got a powerful looping right hand. He's got good kicks. He maybe could catch Hughes with a head kick. But then again, you can't discount Hughes either because Hughes has some pretty good striking as well. But although it's very basic and it doesn't look very fluid, it's still effective. He kicked the hell out of what is his name? Hoist Gracie's leg at UFC 112, and then TKO'd him, and he caught Ricardo Almeida surprisingly with a right hook before he choked him out with that Pharmaconda or whatever it was called. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give this one to Koscheck. He's just too young, he's just too fast, and I think he's going to end up catching Hughes. So I'm picking Josh Koscheck knockout.